Yes.
And I take it you know a lot of statisticians within the
Community?
statistician community, yes?
Yes.
Do you know Dr. Gordon Harrington?
Only through some emails that he sent me with relationship to this case. I've never met him.
Okay. Do you know him as a statistician at the University of Northern Iowa?
No.
Okay, you just know him. He sent you some emails regarding this case?
Yes. In fact, the first I heard was from Dr. Harrington.
Okay. Okay. Now, you indicated that you and Dr. Kaiser sat down, and reviewed some information related to the statistical analysis. Is that right?
Yes.
Dr. Kaiser, in fact, wrote another report related to the statistical analysis regarding Dr. Fleming's data, did he not?
A first draft of this report, yeah.
And as part of your analysis, did you review the first draft of that report?
Yes.
May I have one moment?
Yes.
But I don't have it with me.
I can help you on that.
Okay, fine.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Can I check it out a little bit? Okay. Because I don't
Judge,
remember.
could Mr. Russell and I approach?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Judge, I haven't had a chance to review Exhibit 101. I'm familiar with the first draft of this report.
I don't know what Exhibit 101 is. That's
You have not seen this before. An issue came up with Agent Palmer's testimony about, and you brought it to my attention, about potentially turning me into a witness.
yeah.
I'm concerned that Mr. Russell may go into a line of questioning that may potentially turn me into a witness.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. Are you?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. She will say that,
She.
being Dr. Karaquiri,
Okay.
will say that she reviewed the Kaiser report. I hope she will say this is a correct copy of the Kaiser report. The initial Kaiser report has not only Dr. Fleming's data, but also data prepared by Mr. Hansen. We have redacted all reference to Mr. Hansen's name in the report, but the importance of it is Mr. Hansen's data is represented to Dr. Kaiser as being entirely fabricated. They ran the same statistical analysis through that report that she just referred to and discussed, and said both sets of data show no lack of fabrication. It goes to the area of her opinion that this would be an incredibly hard process to do.
Okay. We're going to have to break this down into parts. Apparently, Mr. Hansen gave him a data set independent of the Fleming data set.
Right.
And he said, compare this data set against.
Well, what he said was determine whether either set would it show fabrication.
Right. And they came back, and Kaiser came back and said neither one did.
Right.
Okay.
That's not actually
Hold on
correct.
just a minute. With regard to the data set that Hansen sent him, how do you know that's fabricated or unfabricated?
It is referenced in the report that Dr. Kaiser, it is represented to Dr. Kaiser that the data set is entirely fabricated.
Okay. So this was essentially a hypothetical that Hansen gave the doctor.
Right.
And said, basically, here's a hypothetical data set that is fabricated.
Right.
Compare this hypothetical data set that I know to be fabricated against what Fleming did.
Well, it is using the same analysis that they
It's
were
the
using
same.
for both the Fleming data set and the fabricated data set.
And Kaiser came back and said if I apply that same analysis, both data sets look valid.
Internally consistent, yeah. It's the same type of analysis.
Okay, Mike?
Here's the trouble. I didn't entirely fabricate the data. I based it off of Dr. Fleming's data, hoping my data would, and I never sent my data to Dr. Kaiser. I sent it to the psychologist, Gordon Harrington, to try and put to bed this statistical analysis for a long
Okay,
time.
let me. Where is the representation that the data is fabricated?
On page 2, Your Honor. I'm sorry, page 2. First. I think it is this part right here. Well, that may not be the first page. I'm sorry.
Would you find it, please?
I believe it is right here.
Okay. Well, the doctor says also provided was a set of data I was told were entirely fabricated by redacted, and these data are examined in the same manner for the Fleming data. I don't see how that makes you a witness, even potentially, because even if you're wrong, even if he's wrong, that's what he said. If she admits that this is his report. Now,
The trouble is, Judge, my data is not entirely fabricated.
it doesn't make any difference. He thought it was. I mean, it's certainly, why in the world she wouldn't have spoken about this earlier? I mean, this just blows her credibility completely apart.
Well, and the fact remains, I didn't send my fabricated data to Iowa State.
Well, all I can tell you is that her colleague says that page 2 of this report also provided was a data set I was told were entirely fabricated by a blank, and these data are examined in the same manner. Now, I've not read the report. It's the first time I've seen it, but you're representing to me, Mr. Russell, that at the end of this report, then, Kaiser says, despite the fact that the data set that was sent to me was entirely fabricated, it looks unfabricated according to the test I performed.
Just to make sure, if I can do it, if I can.
Okay, you've given me page 101.28.
Now, excuse me, Ron, maybe I should show you this paragraph, the paragraph immediately preceding that as well.
Okay, thank you. He says, overall, there is simply no data-driven evidence that the Fleming data set is other than would be expected under a legitimate study. While there are several aspects of the blank data, which is the comparative data set, that might cause concern, there is no definitive indication that these data were fabricated either. Absent the knowledge that that was the case, this would not be unexpected if the blank data, the comparative data, were patterned after the Fleming data. But if the blank data, comparative data, were fabricated from scratch, they should be preserved as a case study against which to test statistical methods of unusual patterns in falsified data.
That's the problem, Judge, is I did pattern my data directly proportionally to Dr. Fleming's data. So the jury's only going to get a piece of the action, and now I've turned myself into a witness in this case.
Well,
And that can be prevented.
yeah, by pulling the wool over the jury's eyes. Give me that. The rest of it. I'm going to let you do this, and I'm not going to let Hanson withdraw, and I'm not going to let Mike, and I'm not being critical of you, Mike, at all. And I'm not going to let him testify about the data set. But we ought to probably make a record of this in some detail. So I'm going to send a jury out. This was the, let me be clear about this. This report was prepared, please let me back up and say, I've never seen this before, and I've never seen the report apparently they co-authored. The co-authored report was written after this?
Yes.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
And they didn't reference?
What they did was they took out all references to the fabricated data. It was essentially, they cut and pasted this part and moved into the only thing she added was the study design in her report.
They took out in this second report, this fabricated data analysis?
Yes.
Because I'm the one that I would have turned myself into a witness.
Well, I mean, that's just intellectually dishonest. Regardless of the reasons for it, they should have said, hey, wait a minute, whether you're a witness or not, we can't. I'm willing to do one of two things. I'm willing to let the government go ahead with this, or I'm willing to strike her testimony and just be done with it if that's what you want. But I'm not going to let you testify, and I'm not letting you out. And I'm not being critical of you. I sort of understand in retrospect, but the government's got to be permitted to get to the facts of this.
And the jury's got to be permitted to get the whole picture.
Not if you set it up in such a way that first of all, that's not true as a theoretical matter, because as a theoretical matter, the data analyst in this case assumed that it was entirely fabricated, whether it's right or not, and he gives the qualification, so the jury will have that qualification, and you can argue that qualification.
But I won't be, unless the jury knows the truth, I won't be permitted to argue the truth of the qualification.
That's exactly right. And the reason that you won't be is because this lady was not, her analysis was not intellectually honest. What she's told the jury was intellectually dishonest.
I'll be honest, Judge, I haven't asked her if she reviewed what I've always called as my fake data.
Well, if she didn't,
I don't know.
yeah, you can ask her. If she's not familiar with this, then you got to leave that alone.
Right. Right.
but we'll have to make a record of that reference to the jury, and I want you to take her and have Tim take her out and put her in a witness room.
Yes, sir.
Okay.